This is here the updated Nissan Qashqai, also known as Rogue Sport, and we're going to take a look here at the facelifted model. Boy, has it changed in the front. All the details you need to know about the supposed to be one of the last affordable compact SUVs. I'm Thomas, this is Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go. The front here is supposed to remind you of Japanese armor, you know, like old armor that's kind of like overlapping. So I think a very interesting job in the front and definitely a completely different look. New LED lamps, also the daytime running light here is really slim in the integration. And if you hit the turning indicator with this top LED trim, then you also see now a cascading form in the front. Actually a beautiful job, as well as the Fuji red color, very expressive red color. N-Design is also this one new top trim, supposed to be very sporty on the exterior. Pros and cons to come in the interior, soon more about that. Wheels from 17 to 20 inch. These here are the biggest 20-inch wheels, and they also now have the wheel arches in the vehicle color, so no contrasting wheel arches, at least then here in this trim. You can also get a contrasting roof, in this case then here in black, and the length is 4 meters 43 or 174 inches. Design-wise, I think really pleasing to the eye, and the special thing is if you go for a low trim, you already get a quite attractive car, you know, price-wise, but also design-wise. This is what's making the Qashqai here so special. That's why it's also here very good selling in the numbers, and produced also in the UK in Sunderland. Then towards the rear, new tail lamps, also very modern design, three-dimensional on the inside, and also a pretty clean look in the lower part, overall quite likable. E-power, there's a badge at the rear and also at the side. What does it mean? This is actually the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder hybrid, where the combustion engine serves as a generator, but the wheels itself, they are driven electrically. Front-wheel drive as an alternative. You can also get a 1.3 liter 4-cylinder mild hybrid. That one then, front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, manual or automatic. Here with this generator hybrid system, you only get front-wheel drive and automatic. I like this key fob here, slim and actually good quality, no high gloss stuff and so on. Then door closing sound is solid, I would say. Let's check out the rear. Yeah, actually nice. And then inside of the doors in the front is also soft touch here in the top. And then this one here is the either Tecna Plus or the N-Design trim, and this one then comes with Alcantara at the inside of the doors. However, no covering of the inside doors here at the pockets. And then the interior steering wheel with physical buttons. Assistance system upgrade is also one of the key things here, but you can also easily deactivate them. These seats here are unfortunately only animal skin in the top trims, Tecna Plus and the N-Design. However, if you go for the lower trims like the Tecna without the Plus trim, you get a quilted leather red. That would look kind of similar, but even more exclusive. Or you can go for a fabric leather red mix in the N-Connector trim, or the Ascenta trim, this pure fabric seats. And the ergonomics of the seats is very good actually. So with 189, 6'2", I still have enough headroom left. I find a good seating position. Steering wheel here, manual in and out, very easy. It's very light to control, so you have to not like you know, like bang it all the way through here on top or in and out. But yeah, you can find a good position for that. So I like the classic user interface. Most of that is manual. Electric seats you have here. Yeah, and the thing is that it feels like a grown-up SUV already. I like that. Cockpit perspective, here in this top trim, you also get more Alcantara at the dashboard. That's actually a nice job. And with this white contrast stripe here. And what I really appreciate here, you have a manual climate unit. Here the fan speed and also here the temperature. Very large, easy to control also while driving. Separate button for the seat heating. I really appreciate that actually. Middle console, this shifting lever for the automatic gearbox here, or for the, it's actually just automatic drive. Let's take it that way because it drives electric. Here, reverse drive mode, and then the B mode is more recuperation. And then you have also here a sport mode where you get a little bit more power than or throttle input. E-pedal, this one is then also higher recuperation, and EV that you even more stressed EV driving, but usually it's not that important. You just let the car do its thing. The inductive charging pad is not cooled, so the smartphone will overheat there. Then the cup holders are not adaptive. This is more simple. At some point the price needs to be represented. This armrest here, nice covering with the Alcantara. And then you have this split either like this or you open it with the second one below, and then you have more space underneath, also with 2 USB-C chargers. And then you also have 2 more USB-C chargers at the rear part for the rear seats. Infotainment system upgrade. You now have this bigger and widescreen view, Google built in. Means you also have here the native Google Maps support. At the same time, it also supports Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, so this is also possible. You can switch that. Yeah, so this is a big step forward, and I think it's a good decision just to let Google do its thing, and you as a car manufacturer, you care about your things. Then in the top trim, you also have an interesting camera system. You can switch through different camera modes, rear view camera, full screen, or here this under the bonnet view. So when you drive, it builds up a past image underneath the bonnet virtually, and then you see what's actually between the wheels, that you don't damage anything. And cockpit POV here with new digital instruments. And interesting is what I said earlier here, when you press here, then you can go to these driver assistance custom mode and activate it. And then, for example, here, lane keeping assist can be deactivated, or also this speed warning chime. It can be all deactivated with one set of a button here. You always have to do it new, but you can have your custom settings. That's very interesting. And you can also get here an optional head-up display. And Leah is testing 2 more features for you. First of all, quality here of the glove box. Yeah, it's actually dampened quite nicely, so that's good. Also good closing sound. And on the top, you also have this storage then for the sunglasses. Pretty cool here, these rear doors. Look at that, they open basically 90 degrees. That's very good for the access for child seats in and out. Hard pack here on the top part, but then here in the high trim, nice Alcantara insert. And you also have decent comfort here if it works legroom wise, because it's not a long vehicle. Here for 4 tall adults, it barely works, I would say. It's okay, also headroom wise, but again, the package is still quite good because it's not such a long vehicle. Then when you fold down this, the cup holders are not really adaptive and pretty shallow, so I have to watch out for that with the kids and so on. And you cannot adjust the back part here. When you fold that here, it either folds or is in place. There is no possibility to adjust the angle or something. Isofix here on the outside parts, that's maybe then more important. Trunk or boot, around 500 liters, 480 liters with the all-wheel drive, then you lose a little bit. Let's take a look here. What's quite astonishing is here in the width, it's like 1 meters 10 almost, or yeah, almost 44 inches. That's actually quite cool. And the normal length is limited 85 centimeters or 34 inches. And here you can see normal luggage fits in there. At the moment, it doesn't seem that high though. But what you can do is here, look at that, these splitters, they have done that to have an even loading floor. I've already folded 2/3 of the seats. Another 1/3 is possible. You have to go around for that though. Here, and then you have to split here. You can put like a backpack in there, upright, to have a split, not flying all over the place. Underneath, yeah, there's not much space left than there. And you can also remove that completely, have a second split here, or take that both out then to get the maximum height. And this then here the full setup when I also fold the other part, but then you see you always have to fold this front seat a little bit more forward. Sport mode. Plop. That was 0 to 90 kilometers an hour. Now reducing to 70 again. Yeah, very interesting. It was reasonably quick, and you feel the electric drive, and then when you accelerate hard, then also the RPMs go higher because the generator is working more. Here with this true hybrid version, as I said, engine is working as a generator, the wheels are driven electrically. Very interesting system. The acceleration figure here for this one here, which is the 1.5 liter 3-cylinder hybrid, around 8 seconds to 1 kilometers an hour or 62 miles an hour. Whereas with the, it's always a little bit complicated, the other engine has a cylinder more, 4-cylinder, but then less displacement, 1.3 liter. Also pretty interesting, isn't it? That one is, depending on the version, manual, automatic, all-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, between 10 and 9 seconds in the acceleration. So 1 to 2 seconds slower than this one here. Actually, very interesting. Then when I want to turn off or on some assistance systems here, easily done with 2 clicks on the steering wheel. I like that actually. So that's actually pretty cool. And also when I want to reset the fuel meter or so on, that we can give you an exact figure without that hard acceleration. Also very easy to reset everything. I can also go back to the normal or the standard mode, or even to the eco mode, boosting a little bit the eco driving. Usually when I go off the throttle, I'm just rolling. I can also go to the B mode, then I have heavier recuperation directly when I lift the throttle. But when I'm in D mode, I can also do some recuperation here with the brake pedal. So that's also possible. It's more matter of preference what you really like. The interesting thing is that when you have enough buffer in the battery, especially when you drive locally, slow speeds around town, then sometimes the generator isn't even running, for example. But most of the time it is running, and then you might wonder, like, what is the reason for this? And the sense behind that is actually that they say, hey, we put that one in an optimum state, we let it run at a constant RPM level, then it is more efficient than it would be directly connected to the wheels and always, varying in the RPM and going really high RPM level and so on. This is the basic system behind that. Honda is also using a similar system. The main difference is that here with Nissan system, you are only always driving electric, the wheels directly, whereas the Honda system can also directly power the wheels from the combustion engine and has this kind of like third state as well. So the Honda system is in a way even more complicated, I would say. The Nissan system a little bit simpler, but the question is, of course, at the end of the day, and we'll keep you updated towards the end of the review, if it's making sense consumption-wise and so on. So this will be very interesting. Here the turning indicator, by the way, feels sometimes a little bit, let's say, unfinished, especially when you do this tipping thing. That could give you a little bit more quality feedback. The rest of the interior also while driving makes actually a pretty good impression. So there you don't feel that this one is actually still cheaper than most of its competitors. So more and more competitors have reasonably rose in the prices. This one not too much, just because here with this facelift, they basically canceled the very, very base trim level, which not too many people went for. That's the main reason why the price went up. Other than that, it's in comparison to most other cars in this segment, still relatively affordable, and I think you have to applaud them for that. Here in these traffic situations, it's actually good that you can, once again, only drive electrically. It's very good also to reduce emissions and so on. And what is being done where and when, usually you don't really feel that as a driver or as a customer. However, you can also here in these front instruments go through these different visualizations. And then you first have to find it because it's a little bit hidden. There it is, energy flow. And then, for example, here you see at the moment just the battery and then to the wheels. So at this moment the combustion engine is not on. Now it's on again. And we didn't even hear that. So you rather hear the combustion engine when you're really hammering the throttle like we did initially with the acceleration. Then you do feel that actually. But it's always, constant back and forth. But that's also that you just let the car do its thing, and that's basically it. Here the noise level at the moment here is 70 kilometers an hour. Is quite good actually. 20-inch wheels. I was afraid that it's maybe getting too bumpy. But actually the suspension is not set on a too stiff note, and even when I'm running through some potholes, it's astonishingly okay. Very often when we have vehicles with very large wheels, they get very rough and uncomfortable. But here I think it's still okay. It will still be more comfortable if you stick with the smaller wheels. But if you want that extra design kick on the exterior, I think you can still live with this comfort. The steering itself from the feeling is really nice. It feels very natural, and on the one hand you don't have to steer so much, but also the fine commands and transport it to the road. It's not overreacting at all. It also reminds me of the Mazda steerings, especially like in MX-5, CX-5, CX-30 and so on. Maybe not for the very large new SUVs, that's a little bit different, but very nice and sporty steering feeling. So I like it. And also that I can manual control everything while driving. Like here, the rear buttons at the steering wheel, the rear climate knobs, I can easily turn that while driving. So I like this classic user interface that is making it really relaxing in the drive. And all the facelift changes, also with the new screen and so on, give me a little bit more sense of sophistication here with the facelift if I compare the pre-facelift model. Just this turning stalk, I mean, I really try to pay attention to all these details. So yeah, when you hammer it in, it's okay actually, but when you do like this tipping gesture, just like feels a little bit off. Maybe the engineers could tune that at some point or so. And meanwhile, I've also deactivated most of the assistance systems, but I can also easily activate them again and test them. That's of course also a good thing. On the right side, then you can also activate this adaptive cruise control, for example, set the speed. And here is also the one, because they've upgraded the assistance systems. This was also part here of the facelift, more standard assistance systems, and they are also more elaborate than before here. Now active lane keeping assist, the street is also bending slightly to the right, and here so far so good. It's not a very clear marking here in the middle of the road. Let's see if the vehicle realizes that. Yeah, I'm not steering, I'm just pretending to be steering basically. Of course you have to hold on to the steering wheel. That's a level 2 system. It's not meant to be driving autonomously, but so far actually quite impressive. I'll also gather some more experience with that and tell you later on if there was anything negative or so. But so far, also assistance system-wise, I think overall a good performance. And some dynamic driving, once again, very likable steering feeling. So it is also a lot of fun to drive this one. And I think when we then once again compare the Tiguan, where I pay way more money for, is it really worth it, you know? And I think it's very good performance here. So fun-wise, comfort-wise, that you can easily say, hey, I really want to save some money and go for a more affordable vehicle. I think this is what the Qashqai really masters, especially when you keep it mid-trim or low trim. So it feels also very compact. It is not a very long SUV, and that's why it's also that good in the driving fun. You don't carry that much, you know, just dimension with you. The only thing I did feel was negative, I just found out here when I was driving a little bit longer, that's not that good from the build quality here. Like this high gloss black covering on the steering wheel, and when you are resting your thumb on it or maybe press a little bit there. It's not that we don't have it as well in an Audi now at the dashboard, that was also the case, but this definitely has to be mentioned. So yeah, they should have come up with a better idea here at the steering wheel. But as I said, as steering feeling itself, really good, and I really also enjoy these winding corners here. Pricing, for example, for the UK market, around £30,000 in the entry-level model, up to £46,000, like with all the bells and whistles and so on. Euros like 34,000 euros, up to 50,000 euros, for example, German reference price. So you see that in the low entry price level, it can really beat the competitors. It's still one of the affordable cockpit SUVs, and I would, in the interior, to go annual free, you know, anyway, recommend one of the lower trim levels and also have a more breathable seat, like a fabric seat and so on. So I think then the car really makes sense. You already get a quite attractive exterior design, and with the low trim level, you can really say, hey, I pay like half the price than a new Volkswagen Tiguan with all the bells and whistles. If you go then really high trim level, as it stands here right now, then you go towards 50,000 euros. Then of course you can already consider other competitors as for that. This color here, by the way, ocean blue it's called, but yeah, actually it's more dark greenish. What do you think? Consumption, a little bit more than 40 mpg US, a little bit more than 50 mpg UK, so 5.5 liters on 100 kilometers. If you have more motorway share, consumption will be better. If you have less motorway share, more city share, and also using more of topography changes where you can use the recuperation effect of this engine. And this is also the main aspect. If you have the hybrid, the recuperation, so gaining back the energy, that is the main aspect. That the combustion engine is basically cut off from the wheels, that is not the main aspect. So the hybrid systems also work when they directly power the wheels, like with Toyota or with Honda, where they offer basically both. So that is not the main aspect. Really using recuperation effect in topography changes will give you best efficiency gains, but it's also not that efficient that you can actually explain that this whole effort would make sense. It's good, but it's also not extraordinary from this hybrid system as for the whole result. But overall, a very good performance here from the Nissan Qashqai facelift, and you should check out the competitors like the VW Tiguan and the Honda CR-V.